Let me guess, you from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good.
Okay, before we left on break, we were doing part 2 of the zip code showdown, part 2 of 3. We got one more of these next week. We talked about, what we're doing is we're working our way west to east. Last week we did 127, 128 and worked our way east. Today we're doing 38109. We did 38116 and 38118. So now I'll say this: 38109 and 38118 and 116 are all somewhat similar, meaning you don't see a huge rise in either rent, value, or tenant pool. There's no huge dip. No. And there's no huge rise. I guess the only dip, if we had one, would be the mile west of 3rd Street in 38109. That might be the only. If you stay east of 3rd, you don't see a real huge spike in a value or rent, and you also don't see a real dip. You just have some waves that are coming through. Now, when you move over, keep going east from 38118 to 115, you can see a little bit of a spike. This is a little bit, if you're just climbing steps up to the, to a new floor, this is just about 3 or 4 steps higher than the first 3 zip codes that we talked about. So 115, let me give you some stats on 115, and then we can kind of talk about the history of that one. This is we're borderline going into 141 when I say this, but it's what do they call that neighborhood? It was a newer Memphis. Anyway, I'll remember in a second. All right, here's some stats on 115. Number of home sales, 345 this year. It's only up 1%. That's held steady. So 115 has been a steady presence. Average home sales price is $69,820. That's actually took a little dip, 3% down from 2017. Number of bank sales is only 28. That's really low. But a number of investor purchases is 161, so that's 47%. So that you see what's happening when I describe kind of the movement from west to east. You see that our investor sales are going down because the price values are going up. Average investor or average sales price for the whole area is $69,820, but our average investor price is $83,299. Wow. Which makes no sense, but it does make sense. What it says is that investors are paying more for that better tenant. You're getting, this is where I can say you are getting a better tenant overall, not every time, but overall you're getting a better tenant. You're typically going to get dual incomes in the house, which should be important for an investor in case mom or dad gets laid off. You got, a backup to at least, get the rent paid. Average investor price 83. No, average tax appraisal is 77,000. The number of foreclosures is 33, and the average foreclosure amount is 68,424. So 38115 down. If you go down not Riverdale, but if you come down around that Holmes area, up into the Kirby area, Winchester Kirby area is the 115 area. They do have high. They got a number of apartments over there. So you're competing with that a little bit, but single family housing, you can tell with the 345 total sales, and half of those are investor sales, you're still getting a good product. So
and a lot more townhouses, single family attached homes. A
lot of people think those have HOAs. They don't typically,
which is interesting.
It's interesting. You can get a whole run of them where there's nothing shared except for the roof. It's the only thing that's shared on the property. So you do have to get with your owner to get the roof replaced.
Right.
Actually, I have seen where they didn't.
Just did their half.
Somebody just did their half of the roof. I'm like, got a roof over here that's not. So be friendly with your neighbor.
There usually is a firewall there too, though.
There is, but it's just funny to see like the roof is one roof, but somebody's redone just their half. So you get a lot more single family attached homes. You're going to find, what you'll find over there is a lot of homes with no garage. You'll find a ton of
pad parking.
3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. You're thinking, oh man, that's great, but it doesn't have a garage, so it limits your rent a little bit. It keeps you from getting into that $1,050, $1,100, $1,150 range, and keeps you in that $900, $950 range. So, but with the average sales price, average investor price being $83,000, that $950 rent is still a win for a lot of people. So 38115, solid zip code. It's a step up. This is where, I could hear someone say, well, Dean, there's not a whole lot of difference between 38109, 38116, and 118. And there really isn't. You know, I mean, it's the same type of crowd, same type of tenant. You move over a little bit further east, you get into 115, you are going to see a better tenant, a better house, newer. I mean, they're not nearly as old as some of the 118 and 116 properties.
A lot of manufacturing all surrounding this area, right? You're close to State Line Road.
Shelby Drive.
Look
alive.
Yeah. So I used to work down that way for manufacturing. So that I was all in that area.
Yeah.
You know, all day, every day, working, and there's a lot of busintions down there.
So that means there's a lot of jobs.
So you're going to live close to your distribution center, your manufacturing site, or you know, there's I think there's Cargill down there. There's Georgia Pacific, Container Corporation. I mean, there's a lot of good, you know, companies that are invested in that area.
Yeah.
So.
Good. All right, so that's 38115. Now, if you keep moving east on us, you're going to hit 38141. Now, we're getting to southeast Shelby County. You know, 38141. Let's see, when did this start really develop? In the late 80s, early 90s is when this really started to develop. Okay, I remember being in high school many ages ago, and 38141 was barely developed. There were some communities, there were some areas. Hickory Hill, that's what I've been trying to think of. So 115 hit the Hickory Hill area. Sorry, go back to it. But Hickory Hill is part of 141. All right, so now here's what you get in 141. We moved back to brick homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and a 2-car garage.
Right.
So those are going to, you know, the numbers are about to tell us what it averages, but this is another step up from 38115. So there is like we've been saying here for the last 10 minutes, there's not a whole lot of difference in the first 3 zip codes we talked about. 38115 was a step up. Well, 38141 is a step up. Yeah,
these numbers are going
to kind of will get a hold of you a little bit, but it's to show you the migration. That's all right. It is from west to east, and it shows you what's going on. So since these were built, you know, just 25 years ago, you're going to get some different pricing. So here's some numbers here. Number of home sales in 2018 is 274. That's down 2% from 2017. Basically just holding steady. Average home sales price is $95,584.
Up 13%. So we were in the mid 80s. Now we're.
So you see what's happening. Investors are moving forward. Number of bank sales 23 is low.
Wow.
But number of investor purchases is 170.
62%.
That's right.
There's a few turnkey people love this zip code.
Turnkey people love it, but also people that are looking for that 1% rule.
That's right.
If you're looking for a 1% rule, the next 2 zip codes are going to be at 141 and 125. Average investor sales price is $91,000. I'd say the average rent here is $950 to $1,100. So that actually, you know, it matches up
to the 1%.
That's right. Average tax appraisal is $82,000. Number of foreclosures is 45. An average foreclosure amount is $72,000. So with an average home sales price of $95,000, you can see that is, of course, a major step up from the 115 of average home price of, you know, 69. We're talking a $25,000 bump.
And it's the second lowest number of houses sold behind 3116.
Right.
For this year to date.
Right.
So
because there's fewer investors that are fine with the 1% rule. There's some that are, but there's fewer and far between that are okay with it. I also think there's fewer. I mean, there's fewer people that can afford $95,000.
That's right.
You know, and a lot of people ask me, like, I'm curious what you think of this. When somebody comes to you and they say, "Hey, what about this $100,000 house that I can rent for $1,200 or $1,100? Is that the best use of my money?" I get that a lot. What's your response?
I mean, it boils down to what we're seeing in these numbers. What's your risk profile, and how hands-on you want to be, and you know, that's kind of
throw it back to them.
I throw it back to them. I'm very cautious of trying to tell anybody which zip code or which house or which street. You know what I mean? I just want to give them the facts, and they've got to decide. I mean, I got the other day wanted me to tell him, should I sell this? And you know, like, was pushing me to give him an answer, and I was like, man, go with your gut. Look at the numbers. Like,
see what it says.
See what it says.
He was looking for an escape, like an out.
And I was like, and so same thing here. I mean, I'm just like, if you think that you can't handle your personality and your job and your life with kids and wherever you are, and you know, a call for a maintenance issue or a tenant paying late it's going to affect you emotionally and mentally. You know,
dump it.
Then go to these zip codes.
That's right.
You know, But if you can handle stomach some other, some issues, then go west and get a better price to rent ratio. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
If they ask me, is it the best use of my money? I'll tell them no. I'll tell them you can get better numbers.
But then you get the time and
then I throw it back like
emotion.
you do.
Yeah.
So then you weigh into like what's of value to me and what isn't.
That's right.
We started off this morning going from west to east in South Memphis, from 38109, 38118 to 38116. We talked about that area not having just a whole lot of difference. There's some differences in the zip codes, but you're not seeing any spike up or spike down in any of the data. I don't think you're finding a spike in any or dip in the tenants or the quality of the home. Some's better than others, but there's no real distinct large value. Now, the ones we just talked about, 38115, you are going to see an uptick in the quality of home, the quality of tenant, and just the overall community presence. It's a Hickory Hill. It's a little bit, Kirby area. It's a little bit newer, a little bit better from a commercial and retail standpoint, which is, a job driver. And then we moved over to 38141. That really took a jump from 38115.
Yeah.
$25,000 average home sales price in one zip code. So when people tell you in Memphis that you can go from zip code to zip code and see a dramatic change, don't believe it. It's street to street. You jump from one area to the next, you're talking about $25,000 difference.
It's interesting just looking back before you get into 125 if you look at, we always tell people just bank on cash flow, not appreciation.
Period. Yep.
And every one of these was right at a 2-digit, 10% kind of or more, except for 115, which was down.
Right.
So I don't know.
What
we need
drives
Wendy to
that.
help. We should ask Wendy to help us get why that would be. But
She's coming on, what's the end of the quarter? This month? September.
Yeah, September, yeah.
So she'll be on another few weeks
Okay.
with us to kind of give us some updated numbers. But yeah, it is funny. Like, so, when I get on the phone with an investor and they're talking to me about, hey, I'm looking for cash flow and appreciation. In the past, I've had to really limit where I could tell them they're going to find appreciation.
Right.
We just don't see it a lot.
Yeah, we don't talk about it a lot.
Because we haven't seen this much investor activity. So now we are seeing the values go up. We are seeing some appreciation. Now the kicker is if you're looking for the appreciation number, you need to sell, which we don't preach selling.
That's
So
right.
we preach buy it and hold it and not necessarily buy it and flip it. That just doesn't make a lot of sense here. But you are seeing some of that appreciation. Where it will help investors is in the BRRRR strategy. So if you're looking to BRRRR a property, some of these zip codes that you've heard me mention today were up 10 and 13 and 14%. You got a better opportunity in some of these areas to pull that
refinance
off.
and pull it out.
That's
yeah.
right.
But I like what you just said. I mean, if you're looking for some appreciation, looking for a little bump in your return on what you did, I mean, now's the time to sell.
Now don't wait.
Don't
3 or
wait.
4 years.
Next year, 2 years. I mean, the interest rates, they're going to change. There's going to be something in the market that's going to drive.
Yeah.
Where this actually. And it'd be good to get from Wendy next quarter or next month what she thinks. But this guy has to slow down. I don't think you're going to see it keep going up 9%, up 10%.
Here's what I tell investors right here. I go, because they'll ask me, should I sell now? Should I sell that? If you have been thinking about selling for a year and you think you're going to think about selling for another year, then sell it. Now's the time. Don't wait 3 or 4 more years and say, oh, now I'm done. If you've already been thinking it over, you're going to sell for whatever reason. You're not managing it right. We've given you a million reasons why you might sell. But whatever the reason may be, if you've been thinking about it for a year and you think you might be thinking it over for another year or so, now's the time.
So my neighbor that's been there since we've been there for like 15, 17 years, owns an apartment in Midtown. And, I can remember 5 years ago, he wouldn't even want to sell it for $420.
Yeah.
This apartment building. And I just kind of did my calculator, pulled it out last night, sitting there in the sidewalk talking to him. I was like, man, I think you could get 600.
Did his eyes just pop open?
Yeah, but then he's like, what am I going to do with the money? That's the same thing with all of these. And we're
Same thing with the residential market that's going on.
It's residential. So I sell my house for $100,000 because it's up 10%. All right, where are you going to put that money? Now what?
You got to go pay for the bigger house, nicer house.
Of course, he was like, can you guarantee me a return of X, with no risk? I'm like, no.
Do I look like a unicorn?
So he turned around. So I guess I'll keep my apartment.
Yeah, he should. I really, you get the numbers are flashy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see the big new shiny car and it's great, but there's a lot of things that come with that. So,
I saw Jeff Moore Saturday at the restaurant, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And you ready to sell that apartment? Midtown, ready to sell that other apartment? I mean, he's hungry for inventory because he's got buyers that are ready to pull the trigger. And I was like, Jeff, I've worked too hard to get to where I'm going. I was like, which to your point, it sounds great. I could,
it's a big, nice, shiny sticker.
Yeah, but what am I going to do with the money?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, 38125, our last zip code today. We talked about the steps up. 38115 was a step up from the first three. 38141 was an even bigger step up.
This is the biggest.
This is the biggest.
Wow.
But it's still an investor zip code. I mean, which is that just means that there's still investors that are willing to pay this, because this investor here wants low involvement. Very passive.
Passive, yeah.
He wants a nicer, newer home with
some warranties.
No maintenance, some warranties, and different things like that. So let's give you some of these numbers in 38125, Southeast Shelby County. You can all.
What's the main road for that? I mean,
Hacks
Germantown,
Cross.
Hacks Cross,
Hacks Cross, and Shelby Drive.
Okay.
I bet I've sold 200 homes in Buckingham Farms.
Wow.
When that was new construction being developed. That's in one of the neighborhoods that I was sitting in. So I'm very familiar with 125. All right. So yeah, Hacks Cross comes right down it, and Shelby Drive kind of runs east to west. Number of home sales in 2018 and 125 is 365. That's down 8%. Average home sales price, $190,048. That's up 9% from 2017. That's crazy.
That's That's $18,000.
Yes.
If you just take the same house a year ago.
That's right.
So
tell me, I mean, you can't say there's no appreciation in Memphis anymore.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know how long it's going to be here. You better take advantage of it. But I mean, we're looking at appreciation. Number of bank sales is 32. Those are averaging 177,000. That's nuts.
That means because the banks know. I mean, everybody knows. That's people just know that value, and they're willing to go after that number.
That's exactly right.
And go and buy it. So
number of investor purchases is 127. That's 35% of the market over there. So even though we're high numbers wise, you still have the investor that wants that product, that wants that nice. I mean, these are probably renting for $1,400 and $1,500 max. You might find one a little bit higher, but that's what these are renting for. So they're a little under 1%. But like we've said, we're talking almost brand new homes within the last 5 years to 10 years they've been built. Updated products, 3 bedrooms, 4 bed. You get a lot of 4 bedrooms and 2 baths.
Yeah. Bigger houses,
bigger homes, 2-car garage, mainly brick. Now here's a good number here. The average investor price is $139, so that makes a lot of sense. 1,400 to 1,500 rentals, that makes a ton of sense.
Here's something interesting. After you see that 35% of sales are investor purchases, if you think about, if we took the zip codes, basically we're saying a third of the zip codes are a third to investors, like 35%.
Yeah.
A third of them are right at that 50% number Wendy always talks about.
Yep.
And a third are at the 74, like on the other end. That's why your blended average for the whole city is right at 50-50.
That's right.
Does that make sense? Like, plus or minus a couple percentage points. I'm not trying to be super accurate here, but it's funny to think about it that way. Like how
a third of our zip codes, there's 75% ownership.
Investor. Yep.
A third of them are 50. And a third of them are 25 to 35.
I mean, given your rough estimates, but just kind of for our listeners to understand how we end up being a 50-50 city.
You got any opinions versus North Memphis and South Memphis? Next week we're going to get Central inside the loop, but you got a difference because I think you own them both. Any opinion versus what we covered last week and what we've covered today?
I mean, if money's no object, I'd stick to the South.
Yeah.
How about you?
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
If I really didn't care about the actual cost of the home,
right,
I'd stick to the Whitehaven, probably Whitehaven 118 mixture, But if you're really going after that value, Raleigh, to me, the 128 is the best value.
What would you compare? I'd say 38118 and 128 are very similar. Would you say that?
Very.
As far as tenant base, type of house, price to rent ratio. So those are my two. I always correlate those two. I'm fine with. That's probably my sweet spot. If you just asked me to pick one, that $50,000 to $60,000 house, $850 rent, something like that.
I swear I can't get enough.